Okay, it's recording. So I have your permission to post this.
Yes.
Okay, we have Sneaky here from 2217, another like real solid good kingdom. I want to call it an up and coming kingdom, right? Because you guys have been around for a while, but I think we talked a little bit before I started recording. You guys had a really good migration, so looking forward to seeing how it does. In the recruiting world, you kind of get a sense of like who are the up and coming like hot kingdoms. 1606 is the imp, but I think like this off season, the two kingdoms I heard the most about was actually 2217 and 1606. So a little bit of a plug there for migration and momentum. So you have an interesting setup, like 5 cav sets. So we were talking a little bit about that off screen, but I think you already kind of have a plan for what you want to do with that. Something with Trajan. So we're probably not going to spend too much on that. And then you did actually go Inf and Archer, and then 5 cav sets.
Yeah,
Uh,
indeed.
Biggest questions you had was probably armaments, yes,
Yeah, true.
and then this blue shield, what you should do with that,
Yeah.
right?
Since
Okay.
I already have, the blueprints for the hammer and the sun and moon, so maybe
Yeah,
switch it to that or not.
yeah. So first question is, I assume you have more iconic crystals than what you know to do with at this point.
Yeah, now I have like 2 extras, I think, currently.
2 extra. Okay, so the iconic won't be a problem. Okay, so and then the hammer, sun, and moon, you get 25% attack, and then the regular shield is 20, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was doing this math a while back, maybe like 3 or 4 months ago at this point. Basically, I was trying to determine whether 2 points of attack is better or 1 point of health is better. Now, obviously, it depends on the troop type, right? For a for infantry, where your health starved at the end game equipment, it matters a little bit more, and then for cav, it matters a little bit less. But regardless, when I did the math, what I ended up finding out was that 2 points of attack to 1 point of health is actually relatively close as far as how it changes the math. You know, the the formula that Wit Gaming came out with for how much damage you're dealing versus how much damage you're taking back, but
Yeah,
still
I remember that video.
leaning a little bit still towards the health side, right? So basically, if you ask me, would I rather have 2 points of attack and 1 point health? You really can't go too wrong either way. It's not like a glaring thing, but I think health is still a little bit better. Now, the health blue shield, I think it's 10.5% attack for a crit versus
Yep, indeed.
25% attack, and then you put iconic crystal on it, right? It swings heavily and towards the the hammer of the sun and moon from just which one is better, right? But
Yeah,
also that also costs 90 minus whatever you get back from the blue shield. If you're not actually starved on iconic crystals, I think for a couple of reasons you should go for that weapon. Just for I don't know if you have OCD. I think you mentioned you kind of do with calves.
yeah, kind of.
Having one blue item versus like a sea of legendary, cleaning that up would just feel pretty good. But also it just performs better, right? And you consider yourself a mid spender, but you do max tech during KVK,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
you're
I maybe don't I don't buy the Conqueror's Will like every day, but I
right.
at least do it for the
All the
first
mountain
week.
warfares and stuff. Okay, yeah. So you max tech. So I would actually just finish that, get it done. I do think for you, you seem to be like an open fielder more than Garrison. I like Garrison. Since you already went down the path of the Shios, like you do the Hammer of Sun and Moon. But if you go back, I actually will prefer just the 4 piece set bonus with the March speed. Not that big of a
Yeah,
deal though, right? This is just going to be
yeah,
just
no. But at the time where I was building up the infantry gear, I
yeah,
only had those blueprints available to me, and I was like, I'm
yeah,
not gonna lose, waste like or wait another 2 months just to get all the blueprints I need just to craft that set.
yeah.
Um, so and since it was ju- when they announced the first iconic levels, and it was very messed up in the
Mhm.
way they wanted to do it. I was like, already have like so many blueprints of the cloak, the Eternal
Yeah,
Knight, the shields, and all that. I was like, I'm just gonna do 2 pieces, and the rest probably gonna be end up being offset pieces, and it's just gonna run smooth.
yeah. And also, the trade off is 10% March speed versus like more damage output.
Yeah,
People argue both ways. I've just heard more people argue that they would prefer a little bit more march speed, but I feel like, you know, you could get the shields to level 5. There's enough march speed on a lot of these like top infantry now where it's not so glaring. So even though like archer is faster, archers actually deal with more of a march speed problem than infantry right now, just because like ZL doesn't provide march speed, YSG doesn't provide march speed, even if you're
No,
using, yeah,
you're right by far. Like my ZL Herman is the slowest march I have, like by
yeah.
far.
So like equipment wise, you know, I would, if I'm just like looking at this and where you could get the biggest upgrade relative to making things where it should, I would actually probably do the archer boots to 5 first, then the shields to 5, and then probably the shield, the hammer third.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in the I'm in the process, you know, of creating my gear since I, you know, finally finished, you know,
yeah,
building all my sets. So I started by making 2 cav sets created. Now
yeah,
I'm working on the infantry one, as you can see.
yeah,
The archers is next in the line.
yeah,
Once I'm done with all those sets, I'm gonna start to push, you know, the iconic levels on those.
yeah,
Um, and then with the extra materials I have currently, my plan is just to keep upgrading my main cav set
mhm,
to on the iconic levels, since I have like many blueprints, you know, up front. I
yeah,
have like, I think I have 4 rings up front. I have like at least two times the weapon and the helm KVK pieces. You know, all those I have all up front, so I'm just using what I need currently just to create all my gear and taking them to level 2, and then in the meantime with what all the extra, it just goes all into my main cav set.
yeah. The math when it comes to so because it's essentially, you know, at this point, whether you're critting or you're awakening, right? It costs a blueprint, and then it costs a certain amount of mats. Yeah, I mean, obviously you get guaranteed, you get guaranteed stats for the awaken, and then it's, you know, hopefully you get lucky with the crit. But in general, awaken 2 is a little bit uh, more efficient, like resource spent to stat gained, than crit. But awaken 3 for almost every level is a wash, just because you get true capacity, and it's such a slow
Yeah,
amount. Like it essentially does nothing, right? So it's like, here you go, let's eat away at a blueprint and some mats. It's not a lot, but it's still some mats to essentially get almost like nothing. And whereas Awaken 2 for a lot is really good, right? So like right now you already have Awaken 2 for 2 of the Ash of the Dawns. That's like one of the best ones, because for the same amount of like mats you spent compared to something else, you can only get like 1% of stats, whereas you get 2% of health for the Ash of the Dawn, which is kind of crazy.
yeah,
But like the only 2 exceptions, and since you only have 2, before you crit everything, I think actually the bigger improvement for you would be getting at least Awaken 4 for the infantry and the archer boots, and the archer boots is priority in this case, right? And then equipment wise, actually probably getting the infantry hammer, right?
yeah.
And then doing whatever you're gonna do. Like, it sounds like you already have a plan with that. I don't want to mess with too much. Like, none of this is really that big of a deal. Especially when someone like has a plan and, you know, they kind of already figure it out. I don't want to mess around with it too much, you know, because a lot of this is, in my opinion, a lot more like micro optimization, right? Like, you can make an argument like you probably shouldn't go that many cabs, but if you really enjoy it, like why not, right? Because this is a freaking game. You know, you do something you
Yeah.
enjoy and then optimize it within the context of like kind of how you want to take your account. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
You know, I'm so far deep into the cav, so
yeah,
and I still enjoy it to
yeah,
this day.
exactly.
So I'm not gonna change that.
Yeah, so like that would be my suggestion for the equipment is like Archer 4 at least, or 5, then infantry, shields, and then you do the shield. The Archer for sure, the first one, whether you do the shields or the hammer, that one, I mean, you can make a case for either way for equipment. Commanders, like we talked about a little bit about like Shahar Aldor. You were thinking of possibly running her as a secondary to Trajan, but using cav set. The real answer is I don't know. You know, it feels like such a waste that you're losing for the most part, the 35% archer health and the 20% speed increase.
Yeah, for
Are
sure.
in there, but a lot of the other kit is really good and universal. Straight up 20% less damage taken is, you know, a lot. That's a lot of damage reduction, all damage reduction, not even counting the stat. So I think I would recommend you holding off on that, because since you're only running one Archer March, you want to get a little bit more conclusive evidence that this commander will be good before you invest in it, or else there's a, you know, high bust potential where it's just going to sit on the bench, right? Because you're not going to use
Yeah,
it.
no,
Yeah.
that's why we talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Is like I'll first look at what the other do and how they trade, and then consider maxing her.
Yeah.
I'll just, you know, unlock maybe like full spin the wheel just once for her, and just, you know, keep it in.
Yeah. I think we're gonna
the
spend.
inventory.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're gonna spend most of the time on the armaments, anyways. That was a plan. But like, you know, I took a look at your like autarch everything. I think you've been like helping out with leadership stuff in 22-something. It's a good kingdom. I think your autarch was like a little over 100 mil, right? Which is very good. Very good KP for the county age. Like, you know, you clearly like thought this through. You know what you're doing. So let's actually just move on to the armaments. Let's have you screen share.
Yep. So 1 sec. Do you see? Does it work?
Yeah. So before we start, let's give a quick overview of what is it about armaments that you feel like you need work on, or what's a challenge, or what is it like just tell me about it.
So as you can see, so my main 5 base march are mainly all legendaries, like this exception of these pieces.
Yeah.
And then when you start to go to, you know, the 5th and 6th and 7th, you know, I already have like some legendaries stored up here.
Yeah.
But they don't all have like, for example, the
inscriptions.
Oh no, this one is good, I guess.
Yeah.
But this one is the most tragic one. You know, it's still used. You know, the epics.
Okay.
And you can look like I have like a bunch saved.
Oh god. Okay. All right, I got it. Okay, but so then what before we start diving into this, what do you feel like is not clear, or you're not confident about? Like, what is it about armaments that you feel like is a sticking point for you?
Well, I always at first went with the idea to have like the most amount of stats I could have for you know, the unit type I'm using it. And then the more and more I got inscription, and inscriptions are I just totally, you know, for example, here I have two, I have two inscriptions, but then the last 2 I have like none, but I have a bunch with inscriptions here that I could use and then transmute. So the question becomes, you know, which of those inscriptions becomes better than you know, having you know, all those stats saved up, even though they're not maybe the highest, they are at least not rainbow stats.
Okay, cool, perfect. All right, so basically the meta has changed, and then you haven't like maybe logically understand it, but it sounds like you haven't kind of updated to what the new meta for armaments is, and that's actually conflicting for you. Let me exit this real quick. So I go back. Okay, so let me actually screen share again. You can stop for now, and then we'll go back to your screen.
Sure.
There we go. Okay. Okay. So here we have all your armaments on the screen. You can see this?
Slowly. Yeah.
Okay, so when somebody sends me their armaments, the first thing I look at now is, one, how many inscriptions they are, and are those inscriptions like relevant and good. So for example, like rebuff gives you counterattack, right? I mean, I guess it could be worse, but it's one of the quote unquote worst ones. Or I think sentries only applies when you're garrison, I think. Yes. Right, and then if I remember correctly, respite's like not that good. Some of them it's almost like just okay, that's good, that's not good. The regular ones, the best 3 in my opinion, is something that gives you health, so like robust, hardy, breaker, and then assertive, right? Assertive is just on the map. When you have when you're on the map, I think you just do straight up 2% more all damage, right? Even something like, I think striker, like when you're surrounding a target, is it striker? Strategic. When you're surrounding a target, you deal 2% more all damage. That one is still like pretty good, right? But the top 3 regular ones, in my opinion, is either 3.5% health, breaker, and then something like assertive. And sometimes they have like the same thing but like different names. But those are the 3 best regular ones. Okay, so
And what do you think about the devious one? It gives you 2.5 extra more skill damage.
yeah, it's like it's good. It's like if devious would be like a step down to me. Like if you had like a metallic, right? Something like 3.5 defense, or like well clad or something, or like devious, they're all about the same range. Slightly worse than breaker, but like good enough. So the reason why I think like you're a little conflicted right now is because when armaments first came out, you couldn't reroll, right? So at the time, what's better, triple stats, or you have to get really lucky to get an inscription with like good stats? But it's way easier to get good triple stats, and then like the good triple stats usually will outweigh the inscription with like 1 stat or no stat at all, right? Like you could get really lucky and get like a good inscription and triple stat. It was I want to say like 1 in a million, but very, very low probability.
I got lucky, but on the wrong formations always.
Yeah. So at the time, the triple stat was the way to go starting out. Once the transmutation stones came out, it started kind of it depends, right? 50-50, just because you could reroll, but like once you get to 10, you're done. So if you did it, you had to be like really, really careful, and then people quickly started like running into the problem where they just didn't have enough transmutation stones, right? So like you have all these projects you can't work on. Like, would you rather have the triple stats with an inscription, right? It was still kind of like 50-50, but it wasn't as like one-sided towards the triple stats as initially, right? Now where we're at, and you know, we have this update coming out on the 18th where you could travel up to like 120 times. We'll see what that entails. But there are just so many more ways to get armaments and recycle them, and then like even like have the potential to get rare and then like specials now with the pity system, and you could choose which one you want. I think the meta right now has clearly swung heavily towards value and inscription first, right?
Yeah,
and then
on that part, I fully agree. That's why I'm trying to figure out with you what becomes best or worse.
Yeah, right. So then the challenge is, okay, if you have like some kind of emotional attachment to triple stats, but really what you should actually prioritize first is good inscriptions, or a good place to start from, then it could, there could be a little bit of a confusion or disruption in your decision making. I think right now, right, and things could always change, but right now, the primary strategy for armaments is you're either waiting for a special inscription or a very good double, right? So I mentioned like breaker and robust. If you get like a double with breaker and robust, it's going to be better than any rare inscription out there, but still not as good as a special, right? But like the chances of you getting a special is still low enough where, like, let's just say the special is for sure the end game, right? Like once you get there, you want that to get as good as possible. It's rare. It's still hard enough to get a special, and the a good double is still good enough where like that's just like a step down, where that's where you're willing to dump your transmutation stones into. If you spend more into armaments, right, then you can afford to roll out just say like a good regular inscription. So let's just say you have a robust with 2 stats, right? It will cost you 5 transportation stones per roll, but any kind of stat hit, it's at least going to be 1.5% of stats all the way up to 3.5. So we just take the middle and say it's 2.5. A lot of times that's the difference between going from like a crit epic to a iconic, well, a awaken 1 legendary, right? And like if you could get that on 1 roll, like a 2.5% stat increase, like in that range, that's really good. It's luck, and it's not like you guarantee to build up to it, right?
I agree.
But like that depends on how much you spend in armaments. So if you are quote unquote resource rich in transmutation stones to do that, if you're a little bit more starved in transmutation stones, getting to 2 stats is good enough with a decent inscription, and you're almost like saving your transmutation stones to really like unload it on like the really good inscriptions or the double inscriptions. All right, so that's like the
I don't
general.
say I'm
Go ahead.
I don't say I'm rich on the transmutation stones.
Yeah,
I just buy the daily thing
yeah,
that gives you the three epic chests. That's really the only thing.
yeah,
Since it became like I understand it to become like very much of a rolling the dice kind of thing.
yeah,
It's not even if like critting gear is also the same thing,
yeah.
but at
The
least you
armaments
get
even
something
more
out of
so.
it at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point.
yeah. No, I agree.
But it's even worse for the armaments that I decide like not to invest too much in it
Yeah,
as But for me the daily seems to be still like decent value since you can
yeah. And I would,
at least sell them and buy some transmutation stones out of it.
yeah, and I would say like I mentioned like I mentioned someone right before this. That one was private, right? So people won't see that video, but the account's very similar. But your armaments are noticeably ahead of his, right? So like, uh, it's like you already have a pretty good place to start from. I think some of it's just like the little things that you probably are doing as a habit from before, or you maybe didn't think through. We'll walk through that. And I think like once we unlock a couple of those sticking points and maybe go through just like one slot, it'll start making a lot more sense like what you want to do next. And it actually could become this fun project because I already saw what you had. You had a lot, so you'll actually have like a lot of leeway to grow that. So with all that being said, let's actually go over your armaments, and then we're gonna have you screen share. Okay, so looking at this right now, first thing I determine is, okay, does a person actually at least have a decent regular inscription in every slot? Right, so some of these you show me, it looks like you have 4, but it looks like you have like a double or maybe 2 doubles, and then you have like slots without any inscriptions, right? So we want to get an inscription in those slots. It could be a triple stat, but the upside is so low, especially if it's not a scroll or even a banner, right? You can't even inscribe over it reliably right now. So it's just going to be stuck there at a triple stat without really that top end upside. And even for a banner, it takes a long time unless you're a massive spender to get the 8 shards to do like a balance on there, right? So even the banner is still kind of iffy, where like you don't really want to just run a triple stat without an inscription. The most reliable right now is a scroll, because 2217, you guys won 5 kvks in a row. Every time that's a 100, right? Whereas like the other ones are a lot harder
I
to
mean,
get.
you only see 4 of them there because last KVK I gave no last the one prior to that I gave my inscription to someone else.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad I don't have one. So yeah. All right. So looking at this, without even like getting into it, like I think brutal is like attack or some kind of damage. Evasive is a little weaker. I think respite is weaker. Sentries is just not relevant for the open field. Respite again over here. Eclipse, I forgot exactly what Eclipse is.
Wait, I can tell you that. The will the troops takes 2.5 less % of skill damage.
Okay, so it's okay.
Of all types.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not amazing, but it's not bad, right? It's like average. Primed is I think march speed, rebuff, already covered. So some of these are a little bit weaker. So what we want to look through when we look through them is, okay, do you already have one that where the inscription is better, right? And then the ones that are a little weaker, are they already triple stat? Because let's just say you have a weaker inscription that's already triple stat, and then you have a average regular inscription. Even if you get it a triple stat, right? Like, it's the upgrade versus the resource cost worth it? Because if it's not, even though like you could have one with a little bit higher upside, at some point you could just get lucky and get a double or a special, right? And that's just completely going to overwrite the work you put in before. Then it's not worth it. Okay, so a lot of like what we're going to determine is like stuff like that. So let's actually go to your screen share now. I'll stop screen sharing. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. So start out, let's actually, the XY is fine, right? You could just click on this right under the equipment that Yeah, perfect. Okay, so every time I don't prefer to actually go through the mail and then, well, not the mail, the item and then the armaments. I actually rather already click on just any commander and then just open the scroll. Because now I can see all the scroll you have. So let's scroll all the way down. Okay.
33?
Yeah, right. So automatically at this point now, unless you're brand new to armaments, which you're not, your armaments are actually fairly advanced. All the epic, you just recycle. Definitely the blue.
Yeah, I just kept the
Yeah.
the triple stats.
Right.
That's
Because
all I have
like
here.
yeah, because like even the triple stats. So for example, let's just pick that archer one.
Yeah.
Like well any of these, right? But like okay, that's 4.6% of stats total, right? Like if
Yep.
you just give me a hardy, which is 3.5 health, I would take it over this. Right. So
Yeah,
like
agree.
at this point, all of this is just wasted inventory that's there to confuse you and not serve anything. So let's actually just unlock all of those now. And I assume the one on Minamoto is for like Barbine or something.
To be honest, I don't even have a clue what the fuck is there.
Okay. Let's take a look at it. Okay.
Yeah, it has no reason to be
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's unlock that.
It just happened to be there.
Okay.
You know, for example, here I had a robust, looks like pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually almost like the best you could do on an epic. But it sounds like you have a hunter or something, right? Like so that's gone.
Yeah, on the
yeah. Okay. And then from there, like to go a step further, I would even like unequip it from the Khan and the Minamoto.
Yeah, once I delete them, then you remove.
Yeah.
it,
Okay. So let's take a look at let's go to the top first. This one is more important to see the inscriptions you have. So let's click on the XY. Let me see. Okay. Valiant, I think it's like 1% damage. Right. Okay. Go to the Guan. Okay. The awkward thing with the Guan one is like it's most likely that infantry is gonna fully transition to Arch.
Yeah, no, I'm when I first changed to infantry, I bought the dailies for Guan and I did Guan Scipio.
Yeah.
So I had to build up some sort of an infantry set for it.
Yeah. Let me see the. Yeah, let me see the. Okay, that's good. Go to the next one, the Hua, and then the Nevsky. Okay. Justinian. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, and then so your next one you should probably be pulling destructive, right? Oh,
yeah, I have 2, I think, of those.
Okay. Craze is actually it's okay, but it's like not that good for a rare. Okay, yeah, and then go to the ward.
I have calm.
Okay, calm I will straight up just unlock right now. That's just like a below average one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot better for a V formation, but not that good for open fielding. Because you don't get to like just keep firing your. Okay, so you have 3 craze. Okay. Go ahead. You go to the next one. Combo. Keep going.
That's another one, I guess.
Yeah, that one I would just unlock. Pulverize. I would unlock that. Like 1 second is just not enough. Enrage, I would unlock that.
So that's south. I guess I keep.
I'll keep that. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even keep it for you. You have 4 hunters on here already. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna move off of the hunters, and you can only run 7 marches if you're gonna do it. And then one of them, ideally, you're doing arch.
Yeah.
So
but
even
I guess we have to change this. That's the
and you have a double. You have 2 doubles. So like honestly,
and then
all of those. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and I need to make the 5th march.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
So maybe I keep it.
So right now, So right now, let's actually go to the inscription. So breaker I would keep for now. I mean, honestly, you probably won't use it, but onslaught I would unlock. Like that I would unlock.
And then it becomes, I only kept, and all the others here are just double or triple.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So now let's actually go through the ones without inscriptions, right? So
I guess those.
We'll keep it for now. Go to the next one. Okay, so perfect. So right now you have two side by side, right? Go to the first one. So 3.2 health, 2 attack versus 3.3 defense. So realistically, for what kind of the level you're shooting for, you're only going to lock one of these stats.
Yeah.
And in this case, you would rather have 3.2 health. And also, you're just starting out in a better archer slot, anyways, than that one. So I will unlock that one, right? All damage is we'll keep it for now. Usually I'll prefer a little higher all damage, but it's not like it's like average. It's not bad. It's not amazing.
You see, that's for example my fifth cav march. So you have this, then compared to this, so I know it's pretty even, you know, on the trade-off.
Yeah, and especially if you're gonna do a Trajan, right? Then the all damage applies to all of it. It swings it heavily in that favor. Go to that next one. I want to unlock that. Go to the Saladin one already that you already have. Okay, and then this one. Let's just go through it. That one you probably unlock too. Okay, unlock for sure. Yeah. And here's a reason why. So go to that infantry one again. The other one, the one that I just had you unlock. Yeah. Okay. So something like this with a, let's just say a hardy with a 3.5 health. It's actually my least favorite kind of armament to get because it's a double stat. But like, if I was gonna try to roll it out to make it usable, I would actually lock none of it until I get at least like 2.2 defense or health or for attack, right? And even then, it's like begrudgingly I'll lock it. But if I get, for example, if I had like a hardy on here and I rolled it out and I get a 2.2 health, it would actually be slightly worse, or it'll be worse starting out than until I hit another stat, and then it'll be better, right? But like something like this without an inscription, you're never going to inscribe over it. And even though it has a double stat, it's like a very low double stat that when you're rolling you wouldn't save. Like that's like an automatic recycle. Go to the one next to it now, to the right. Okay, so this one versus the one on Saladin, right? Versus the one I think on the very right of that row.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll let you determine this, right? So if it's those three, which one would you actually want to keep? Because none of them have an inscription.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have to have like all stats.
Yeah.
Because at least it gives me something about everything. Here, I just kept it because it had high stats of calves, and maybe one day I could use it, but it's just a maybe one day.
And then the one to the right, which has like.
It's even worse, I think.
Yeah, so unlock that one. Right, the one above that. That one I would unlock too.
I would probably, I think, end up selling all this one too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then let's go down. And remember, we already talked about, right? This, I'm going over this, but like you already have 4 hunters on here, so like literally the place you would even lock is if you have something with very high upside, where if you get another hunter, you inscribe over it, you can update it.
Yep.
Right. So this one I would even. What's on? Go to your ZL real quick. The one on the ZL. Yeah, like at this point, you're just working on that one, right? You're not gonna do a second archer. So anything with a high upside archer, you probably actually wouldn't even save, unless it's something ridiculous, right? And then that'll be something way down the road. Okay, so is that everything?
I think that's it.
Okay, you already unlocked. Okay. So now let's actually just recycle that, so we clean it up. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. All right, so not only does it make the decision making easier, but you also get a little bit more inventory for the shards and everything, right? Actually, no. I feel like we might almost just want to do another slot, and you can just buy a shard, and who knows, get lucky. Okay, so let's go back to the scrolls again.
You see, for example, I'm just hoarding those, and I have already 2 transmuted crystals, saved up some. And then, as I said, I'm looking for.
How far are you on the pity system for to get another special for wedge?
No idea. I think I would still need like 100 or something.
Okay, but you're 4 out of 10 right now.
Yeah.
It's the
I
worst
don't even
case.
know
Okay.
where to look at it.
Oh, go to go back a little bit and then click on the eye. So click on the armaments, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
on the
here.
eye.
Right. H7.
Okay, and then on the bottom you see the wish list. You have 4 out of 10. Did you select the right one already for that?
Yeah, I took
Intrepid.
this
All right, perfect. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's go back again to the scroll.
and just to be sure for the also for the arch formation, I took the same thing.
Yeah.
The
That's just the best one. Okay, let's go back to the yeah. Just go back to the scroll. Okay, so from here, let's scroll down. Let's see. Okay.
Oh,
God, yeah.
I have to remove those. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. Okay. So from here, let's scroll all the way up. Okay. So the XY, you have a double, right?
Yeah, I know they're not the best, but since they were
Yeah.
double, I was like,
Oh no,
maybe
that's really good. Like Valiant as a second one to Breaker for double, it's really good. I mean, I guess you could like get like a robust or like a whatever for the second one, but that as a double, you're probably not going to get anything better unless you get another special for it. Okay.
I know I tried to you see I tried to transmute it and I
yeah
didn't
yeah,
work out.
yeah. And if you were going to reroll that one, just lock the defense, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Go back down now. Craze.
All those.
Honestly, I would just save like one craze and get rid of the other. Get rid of the other two. It's not. It's clearly not going to be as good as Hunter, right? So like you're not gonna use on. You have 4 hunters. Yeah, you have.
Doesn't seem to be too good.
It's not. I mean, unless you have something with like an instant proc or something that's maybe doing like a damage over time, kind of like Sargon, where essentially you're doing more direct damage, maybe, or else 35 rage. Like it's just not that good. And then 4 of your slot is already for sure occupied. That the one on XY is better than any of the craze, so that's a 5th slot. The 6th slot is for your arch, right? So you realistically just need 1 more out of all these inscriptions you have to replace the Saladin one with for Cav, right? So let's look through them again. We'll probably actually just unlock the other one, so it won't be crazed. Let's see. Keep going.
That's defense.
Yeah.
Oh no, this one. Yeah.
Combo's okay. Keep going down. And then what's one next to it? Oh, Breaker. Perfect. So I don't want to force you to do it, but like if it was me, I would actually unlock all the other inscriptions and then try to roll the Breaker to Cav.
Yeah, and so I would keep this one for now.
You definitely keep that one, and then you obviously keep all the Hunter ones. All the other ones you have no chance of using. Like there's 0 chance.
Okay.
Right? Because you're done with the Hunters. Like you're just not going to use a wedge formation or anything besides a Breaker, okay. Which you yeah. So if you unlock that,
and even the defense is not worth it.
It's not worth. Well, what are you going to replace over it? Right? You're not going to replace the Hunter. You're not going to replace the double. Well, here, go to that one real quick.
I mean, it has for now Archer.
Oh yeah,
I can always reroll.
It's better, but if you're giving me the option between Well Clad or Breaker, I would take Breaker. Right. So the Breaker has higher upside, and neither are really have really been worked on. You're just going to work on the one with a higher upside.
Okay.
Right. So unlock that, yeah, and then what's the one you have locked after Saladin? The one right between Khan and Saladin?
It was just
yeah, I guess you could keep that one. Maybe if you decide to put another Hunter, and then you want to put it on all damage, and you're using it for the Trajan March. Right, but Trajan, do you really need all damage? You don't. You're using like Echelon.
Yeah, I would use the Echelon.
Yeah, so like, you know what I mean? Like it just...
I'm already started to do something,
okay.
but like nothing really.
Right.
I only have like uplifting, I think, for it.
Yeah, I'll actually, for you, I and this is like, you know, you've seen any of my more recent videos, I've been telling people to put arch, pull arch. I would actually pull wedge for you, just because if you're gonna go down that cab route, you know, maybe the next cab commander comes out and then like Delta's better for it, but like you're not really in any danger of losing skill damage for calves, right?
I mean, the only reason I have already two things for
Yeah.
arch is because I did one for, you know, the infantry piece, and then I did
for
one
Attila.
for
Okay,
my
there you
cav,
go. Oh, perfect. All right.
and I got some decent pieces
Yeah,
here.
that's actually pretty good for. Well, besides the skill damage, it was kind of irrelevant, but like that's actually like pretty solid already.
Yeah, I mean, I was using it, you know, for the Attila or
Attila like
whatever.
Nevsky or something. Yeah. Okay, so let's
No,
go.
just for city. I would say city rallies mainly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's go back to
I
your.
don't bust out the Attila ever.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to your Nevsky. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Let's go back to the scroll.
Yep.
Okay. So for now, let's actually recycle it. So we just clean it up, because I want you to kind of see and experience what it's like to have like a clean slot. Recycle. Yeah. Okay. Oh my god, you're gonna be able to get the 180. Okay, so let's go back to that slot.
I think I can get way more than that.
Yeah, you get way more than that for sure. But okay, so now, right, assuming the Khan and the Minamoto one's gonna be gone, all of a sudden it's very clean. So when something comes in, if it has higher upside than something you're already keeping around, then the new thing will be the one you keep around, and then you recycle the one it's replacing. If it's not as good, higher upside, then you just don't keep it, right? So you can start making it like a one in, one out. There's a few exceptions where something comes out. Like, so for example, like I'm keeping the phalanx. Let me actually share my screen again with you. Oh wait. Here we go. Okay. So you can see my game?
Yep.
Okay. So for example, if I go to wedge, right? Whoa, these need to be recycled. Did I just pick these up on a travel or something? Okay. But anyways, all right, let me recycle this just so you can see it. I don't know what happened. Okay. So for this, right, you can see how 8 or 9 out of the 10 is being equipped. So these are for like barbing. This one is very high upside, right? So if I put a hunter on it, it's good to go, right? In the meantime, I have these. This one was actually my first double I ever pulled before you could reroll and also triple stat. So it was like really, really good at the time. Now it's just like mid, because these are like okay, they're not that great. This one I'm keeping it for the all damage, and this one, right, like you can see it's a triple cap, but I have two calves that I think are better right now, and maybe if I roll this out it could be slightly better, but it's just like it's a very marginal upgrade at best, right? But if I put a hunter on it, maybe I lock these two and I rolled, and all of a sudden it could become a really good hunter, right? So if something comes in, right, I have to determine if it's worth it for me to keep around. Like this onslaught, the only reason why this is around just because my only other one is a calf one, and I for barbing I run this with a imp, right? But you can see like in general everything, I don't have a lot, right? I have 9 banners, 9, 10, and 10, right? And then if I go to arch, which is the other one, this I have just enough to I want to be able to make 2 infantry marches. Like the phalanx I'm keeping around because I'm a canyon nerd, right? You put this on Constantine and canyon, it's really good. So this needs to be infantry. The breaker, kind of like what we talked about earlier, maybe I could use this. I would like to have 2 infantry sets and then 1 archer and 1 calf set for arch, just for future use, but it's not a big priority obviously. So this is one with cab I could potentially inscribe over later. This one, the 2% all damage I kept around, right? Like theoretically, if I wanted to, I could be like, I'm just going to keep one or the other, right? Because if I get a destructive, I'm not going to inscribe over this one. This could just go to my second infantry set. I would either inscribe over this and I have to roll 2 stats, or inscribe over this where I just need to roll 1 stat, right? So that's kind of like the decision making there. These ones, these doubles, honestly, I probably am like, there's a really weak one, right? So the counterattack is really weak. Requital, in my opinion, is fairly weak. Actually, really weak, because even if it triggers, you're dealing like 100 damage factor.
Very low.
Right? So over 2 seconds, it's terrible. Right? And then like the fearsome, it's like okay. The brutal is okay. Right? But like this one, if for whatever reason there's an inscription in the future I could put on here that's like a special or rare, it becomes a top shelf armament. Right? So everything is something like that where I would keep it around, or else I'm gonna recycle it.
Okay, makes sense.
Right now,
So
let's
yeah, so
yeah. So let's actually go back to your
if
screen
you have
again.
to, if you had to repeat, like the top 3 or top 4 best are for you, they are like what?
For regular,
the health one. Yeah.
Here. Okay, wait, let me share this again. Oops. So I'm gonna share this screen again. So there's the top 3, and then there's a couple that's like a second tier that's kind of close, but so we go to Wedge, the Codex, right? Okay.
Yep.
So this is on the scroll. Breaker, I think, is really good for the regular ones. Breaker, Robust, which you get 3.5 health. And then it isn't available on this slot, right? So these two, Robust and Breaker, would be the 2 best regular ones, in my opinion. Right? You can maybe get a case where like combo would be interesting, but like 1-on-1, which one's better? It would be Breaker and Robust. For
and
the
then you immediately and then you immediately upgrade to the Hunter inscription because the Craze one is very mid, right?
The Craze, yeah, Craze is very mid in my opinion. Maybe if you have something that triggers direct damage more often, you can make a case, but it's not something that's obvious off the top of my head, right? Like these ones, like Bluster and Spirited, are terrible. This one looks good, but whenever you actually launch an active skill, it starts at 0 rage, so you don't even get this 5% increase. So essentially, you get like 1 or 2 white damage attacks that get a 5% boost, right? So like it's not that good. Here, like Fit is another 3.5 health, right? But none of the other ones are like that great. There's some that are like okay, right? Like if I get this and I don't have a inscription, fine, I'll subscribe over it, because how much better is 3.5% health over 1% all damage? It's a little better, but it's not like that much better. It's not worth it if I have like this with a triple stat and I get a Fit to start trying to get a triple stat for a Fit, because it's like a marginal upgrade. It's an upgrade, but you know, there's a lot of resources to get that upgrade. For the banner, I think this is one where there's a little bit more. Like Strategic kind of has that effect of Assertive, right? I think Assertive is 2% more all damage on the map. This one is when you're surrounding, which, you know, you're running 7 marches, you're going to be surrounded, right? So it's essentially almost always a 2% all damage. Yeah, this one too, right? You deal 2% more damage when you have more than half their troops. Usually, that's when you're doing more damage anyway. So it's like a worse Assertive. Same thing with Strategic. It's a worse Assertive. Warflames, like 1%, kind of like the Valiant. Oh, Assertive right here. This one, right? So if you look at Assertive, 2% more damage while on the map versus 2% more damage when you have more than 50%. Assertive is just better, right? Same thing with Strategic. This one, it's just a flat 2%. This one, you only get the 2% when you're surrounding. Now, most of the time, you're going to be surrounding anyways. Most of the time, you're going to have more than 50% when it's viable. But Assertive is just better, which is why, like, I'll take Assertive. I'll take Vitality. I don't think Breaker is in the slot. But you kind of, like, get the idea of, like, why I'm choosing some of the stuff I'm choosing. Right? Like Sentries, Wall Garrison, useless for open fielding. It takes up the slot.
Your priorities first health, and then it becomes what gives you the most damage output, right?
If you're tasking me between 3.5% health or 2% all damage, I would take all damage at this point.
Okay.
If I had to order it, I would probably do the all damage, then breaker, and then robust. But I always put those three in a tier, like they were tier 1 for regular inscriptions. But same thing
Okay.
so far, like this one, like hardy, elite, I think it's 1%. Yeah, this one I think is actually just hardy, and the artisan is actually interesting. 3% more skill damage is like more than the 2.5. This is probably the second best one in this slot, right? Because this is I think
Okay.
2.5. This is 3, right? But like, oh, actually Watchman. So like for this slot, I would do hardy, artisan, and then Watchman for the top 3. But I think the hardy in this case is like clearly the best one out of the 3. Right. So
Perfect.
let's actually go to your screen again because I want to go over the ones where you don't have anything. Let's see. So now I can stop sharing. And then let's go to your screen. Is this you?
I mean, I guess we have to take this as the example, right? This one is the worst one by far.
Yeah. So for this one, for example, let's go over to the next one to the left of it. You okay with using
Sorry.
like some transportation stones? No. Go to the banner real quick.
Banner. Okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, I like the scroll. The scroll. Sorry. Okay, and then the one right next to it, right? Yes. So that's breaker. So right now, go to transmute, right? Because this is very low investment for 77. So just roll it. Okay. No, keep transmuting. It doesn't really matter if you replace it or not. You're not gonna save it. Okay, so replace it there, but you're not gonna lock that, right? So
Yeah.
before we continue, right? So if you think, highlight over breaker real quick, right? So essentially, you have a very good inscription or regular inscription in the 0.5 all damage versus the 3, like the triple stats that are not that high, right? Which one would be better? I would probably, it's pretty close, and I'll probably lean towards the triple stats, right? But let's transmute some more because you can see how quickly it becomes better. Well, perfect. So replace. That's actually awesome. That's really freaking good, actually. Okay, so now,
I would save this,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. So now let's go back. Actually, X out. Oh, good. Is there where can you compare? So go back, and then go to compare at the top. Right. This one, the breaker is clearly better already. Right. Just the upside is so much higher because you already have inscription on there, so that you could hit something, and in this case, you actually hit something that's really good, right? But you don't even have to hit something that high, and it'll already be better than the triple stat, especially because it's like a lower triple stat, right? So this is like kind
Yeah.
of how you work on it. Now, for now, right?
And then
If,
after I would re-roll the first two, right?
yeah, but if you're specifically focused on this set, I don't want to focus on this set anymore because this is your 7th set. Let's actually go to uh, the other slots where you don't have inscriptions on some of your more main sets. So don't go to this command. Let's go to I don't know. Let's go to
I
your
think
whole. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
I think you said that
Yeah.
sentries wasn't too good, right?
So
So
yeah. So this one respite is wait, go there. Okay. Go down to the banner. Okay, and then go to the bottom left. Okay. Did you? Okay, you roll all of these. Oh no. Okay.
yeah,
I
I
would
rolled
still
the.
save these, even if you. So like this all damage is ridiculous, right? This is one where you have to project a little bit to the future. I think you're going to get to a point where you could just get an inscription and inscribe over it. So, because you only have like a 3% chance or something to get all damage, and then obviously the chance of getting the highest all damage you could get is even lower. Even if you roll it out and then there's no clear path for you to use it now, you save the high all damage for the future. Because it's super
Yeah.
versatile. You can roll for any troop type. Like it's just something where you're hoping Lilith comes around and makes it where you can inscribe, and they'll become very useful. Is there any where you just don't have an inscription on it
Um, I guess
besides the
the
Saladin?
most of. I think the most obvious one is this one, I guess, because I have
Okay,
none.
perfect. Yeah. So
None
let's
of
actually
them.
look through. Let's look through the double first. Okay, that's actually pretty solid. What's one on
Yeah, and I
Attila?
don't, and for some reason I got this type.
Yeah.
The Attila is daring.
Okay, no. Go to the. Let's just go through the inscriptions. Haste, no. Artisan, I think we talked about that. You don't want that for Arch, though. I mean, it's fine for this case, but okay. Keep going to the next one. Okay, then the last inscription. Okay, then does that already have an infantry stat? Okay. Yeah, so perfect. So this one, go to the just go to the one you actually have on Scipio right now. Right. So that's like three like mid infantry stats, right? It's not very low, but it's also not very high. And you're getting what, like 6.7% of stat. Now go to the first one. So this one I would actually, I mean, I know it's a triple archer. Let's transmute over it because you're just not going to use that.
Yeah, I don't think so at
Yeah.
least.
Especially when you only have one archer. So let's do it again. Keep going. Oh my god, I really want you to do archer. Replace it for now, why not? But that's wild. Okay. Okay, so replace it.
Replace it with this?
Yeah, because you're going for infantry anyways. Okay, so here comes like the decision making for this, right? People have a different opinion on this. I actually like stacking march speed because you're doing it in lieu of attack, which in KVK with max crystal tech, you're getting so much attack. Like the attack doesn't matter that much, right? And that's like very, very high for infantry march speed. So like
How
me,
high can the march speed go?
you go
in
up
the
to
roll?
3.5.
Okay.
Right. So like for me, if I was gonna do this, I would lock it. And then before you continue, right? It's figuring out, is there something where you have no inscription on it? So like right now, right, if you lock it now, every roll is going to be 3. But if you have something else that has no inscription on it, is that something that you would actually rather work on first? Does that make sense? Because if you have something where you have none, then you're using 1. So essentially you get 3 rolls for every one of these, right? The only thing that would maybe affect that decision-making process is if you're working, for example, on your, say, like top 3 marches, versus something is like on your 7th march, right? The top 3 march will get a little bit more priority, but if everything's equal, where it's like your 3rd and 4th march, and you have one where you're already locked in one, and one you have none, you would actually want to get the other one where you're locking one first, then you come around where you get the biggest opportunity. So there's like a couple of different like decision-making process. So let's actually stop there for now, and let's see what else you don't have. Okay, perfect. So this one, even if you replace it, I would save this because you literally just put a invincible on here and boom, it's good to go, right? And you could get 8 shards. So in the meantime, let's see if you have anything that's already kind of like partly. Okay, you go into the right. Do you already know what you want to do with your if you get the 8th shard? What are you going to do?
No, that's the last question I had with you.
Okay. Okay. Keep going. No, keep going. Actually, cohesive is okay. I prefer, by the way, I would prefer strategic over cohesive. Just because like sometimes you're under 50%, right? But like usually for this, just because I you know, unless I'm planning on cheeseburgering, I'm gonna be surrounding a target I'm hitting. So it's not assertive, but it's close enough. Okay.
So I would roll those stats, you mean?
Yeah, because like it's not 1-to-1, but if you pretend the strategic is 2% all damage, right? Like how much stats do you really need to hit for this to be better, right? Like you probably can't do it. Like if you do a really high health, I would probably take it over that one. But if you do 2 stats, it almost for sure is going to be better. So
we can have a try.
I hope you get lucky. Oh god. All right.
More to
Yeah, you'll replace it, but you won't keep it, and then just do it again. No. Yeah,
Would you
yeah.
value 1.5 attack to 1.6?
I
It's
would
pretty
take
rough.
I would take the attack over actually. Yeah, but it's like it's so low. It's like whatever. Oh, here we go.
There
Perfect.
you
Yeah.
go.
So replace. Right. So now, if you look at it, right, if you think about it like the strategic is 2% all damage, right, and then you have less and less. Like this all of a sudden becomes like really close. Right now, if I was going to roll this further, I'm not going to make you do it now, right? Because we want to figure out a way to use the least amount of resources possible to get the biggest gain. But if you're going to roll this out, I would actually lock the defense. And then so you either get better stats or at least you still have a double stat. Right now, I would say I would still take probably the one on the left more because that was just really good, right? 1.6% all damage is really good, and it's like mid-high stats for the other two. But this is one where essentially, if you probably roll anything, if you're just locking the defense and you're replacing that health, it'll actually swing it where you'll take the new armament over that one.
Okay.
Right. Is there anything else where you have no inscriptions on there?
Not this much, I think.
What not arch? What about wedge?
So this one is good, I think. This one we talked about.
Yeah, because I don't know how many doubles you had. Because it looked like most of them you had 4, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so this one you have 1. Okay, perfect. Okay,
this one.
so that one obviously you would save too to put a balance on there. But let's see what you have. No, that one I wouldn't even lock. Rebuff is not good. Sentries, no. I assume you don't plan on garrisoning.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah,
but
maybe
no.
save it. Yeah. Okay, so vitality, perfect. Yeah, so let's keep going. What else do you have? So that's already a triple inf. Okay, I definitely wouldn't touch that. Galloping, no. I wouldn't even lock that actually. Okay, perfect. So the vitality one, right? So if you look at the vitality one right now, right? So the vitality is 3.5 health, right? Let's try rolling it real quick.
Well,
okay.
At least I have some.
Yeah. So replace it. Yeah. And then perfect. And then replace. Okay. So now if you compare the two, and that's like fairly high stats for the archer one, right? So you get 3.5 health, 1.5 attack, and then 2.1% march speed. I wish these were higher because you actually still wouldn't lock either of those. But I would actually right now I would still take the one on the left more.
Yeah.
Right, but if you didn't have something like that, honestly, you would probably replace this. So this one actually would unlock still. But it's like, okay, you took 2 transportation stones just to kind of like take a shot at it, right? So you can kind of like start playing with it, but you kind of get the thought process with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Let's actually see this through. So for this one, let's just keep rolling. You know, at most you're using 8 more. So go to the one we just did.
Yeah. Where the fuck is it? Here.
Yeah. So let's see it through.
I wouldn't
lock either of those. But it's like you have a lower baseline. So this one, I would replace. And now it's all of a sudden, right? This one, like it starts getting a little tricky because if you add the stats up, it's like
there's
right.
a minimum difference.
Yeah, like the left on the left is probably still better by a little bit, but it actually starts really close. And then transmute again. Let's see. You just want like you just want a good stat to start from where you can lock it.
I guess.
Honestly, like I would lock it, but people value march speed differently. I think I'm higher on march speed than a lot of people I talk to. And so like
since the archer march is still the slowest, I think.
Yeah, so I would actually replace it and I would actually lock that, right? So from now when I'm rolling, I'm trying to you don't do it yet. right? But like if I'm rolling now, I'm just trying to like get another stat, right? So like, but the high should get is 3.5 and you're getting 3.4. That's like a good place to start. So a lot of it is like these projects, right? If you already have a great place to start, awesome. If you don't, you want to roll it until you get a great place to start. Since right now transmutation crystals are still kind of like a limiting factor, if you use up all 10 rolls, it might not be worth it to actually reset it and go somewhere else. So sometimes I'll just kind of not lock it, see if it within 10 rolls I could get close enough to like a high upside project to be willing to use the transmutation crystal. If not, like the inscription wasn't like good enough or whatever, then I just recycle it. So like a lot of times I'm willing to like essentially roll to see if I could get lucky, for it to be something I work on further. And if it's not after 10 shots, I just recycle. Okay. So this one right now, I would still use the one on the left more, but you hit another stat, it probably would be worth using over the triple stat one.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so a lot of it is just like cleaning stuff up like that, and then rolling that way. You want to make sure you have an inscription, a decent inscription on each first, and then from there, if you have enough transmutation stones, where you want to just roll out the triple stats on the transmutation stone. You want to get triple stats even on the regular inscriptions. You could do that. If you're a little bit more transmutation stone starved, then you're only really saving the dump to transmutation stones and the crystals into special inscriptions or good double inscriptions, right? You just kind of clean it up that way, and then it's always one in and one out, unless it's some like crazy thing. Usually if you're not sure, just pick the one that feels better. You can, in my opinion, only really make a big mistake when it's like something obvious that you shouldn't recycle, and you're like, I'm gonna do it because I need to be clean. Like it's actually like you're not gonna make a catastrophic mistake if you're not sure choosing between the two. If you're not sure, just choose one, and it's not gonna be a big mistake, even if like one is maybe slightly more upside.
Okay.
Right, but like the biggest mistake you can make is to let it all hoard up and then not delete it, because then the decision-making process becomes way harder. And then also you just have a lot of like shards or whatever that you could have been saving up that you're not.
Yeah, no, that's why I got you on the phone.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, makes sense.
All right. Any other questions with this?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward now. I just need to do some figuring out here and there, but I think yes. Then the last question, as you said earlier, would be like which one to choose from here.
Once you actually
sorry, not here.
Yeah, I mean, I
because by the time I clean up my inventory, open whatever I have left, I probably have the 8th. So
yeah, so I think there's like a couple of things to think about, right? At some point, for most people during KVK, they're not going to be able to run 7 marches, right? You just like, if you're killing enough troops, you just have to run less. You drop down to 5, you drop down to 3 or whatever. So it's important to, one, have like the 5 marches you talk about, like that's better than the last 2, right? Because for sure you're going to be able to use those 5. Then,
that's why my project was to create the 5 base march equipment, push it the iconic levels on all those, and just leave the 6th and the 7th for.
Yeah, and then the next one is, okay, well, do you have 3 marches, right? Your archer, infantry, and cabs, are those 3 in a good place? Just for whatever reason you need to drop down to 3 marches and you don't have enough cabs, but you still have infantry and archer. And then like another thing to think about is, okay, you probably want 1 march that's in a really good place when you drop down to 1. Usually when you're doing that, you're also cheeseburgering, which is why I prefer it to be infantry. But if you're like partial to cabs, maybe you want to put more into cabs. Okay, so those are kind of the decision making process with that. And then from there, if you're not rally or garrison, I like to figure it out where, okay, if I'm doing balance or invincible, where if I select that inscription, I could get the biggest upgrade, right? So the biggest upgrade would be, right now, if you have something that has like very good triple stats, but no inscriptions on it, right? So as soon as you put it on there,
I wanted to balance,
Yeah,
to balance these piece, for
yeah,
example, if you see it.
yeah. So
That's
that
what's
one, like
that's
that's a good candidate, right? Because 1.8 is really really high, 3.1 defense is really high, like 2.9 attack is also really high, right? So is that what's on your Nevsky right now?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
all three pieces have like double or at least one,
Okay.
and all
Perfect.
have like the I think more from what we talk, like probably the best inscription.
Yeah,
It's a
honestly,
it's
it's
obviously not
either
bad.
like just based on what I've seen, I haven't seen all of them. It's probably either this one or the infantry one that you put the invincible on. Because that
Yeah,
one,
this one.
yeah, that one's like really good. But you can see right here, right? This is just slightly worse than the other one. So between the two, because you like halves more and because the stats are higher, I would actually put that one,
Okay.
right? But
Yeah,
then in the yeah,
that's what I had in mind. But since the arch becomes more and more a thing, I was like, maybe I should consider.
yeah. Now, having said that, I do think invincible is better than balance. Um, I like I like invincible more than balance for a smite commander, but I think for you, just kind of knowing like you like halves and all that stuff, I would actually probably lean towards the cav one that you showed me because that's those are three like good to really good stats that you're inscribing on, you know.
Yeah. And I would keep, opening wedge also, you think?
Yeah,
Since I
for
have like
most people right
mostly.
now, I'm suggesting they open arch, but because you're running so heavy calves, and I don't think calves are necessarily in danger of falling out of doing skill damage, I would actually do wedge for you.
And do you think it's worth like to open like some crates for echelon to make my Trajan set somewhat worth it,
I
or is
don't
it
I don't
excluding?
think it's worth it at all to do echelon.
Okay.
I I think your best bet is to wait until they change the mechanics, and I think the logical step for mechanics would be that they kind of consolidate all the formations. So like instead of like you happen to pull X amount to get this rare or special inscription for echelon, it's here is an armament, right? Here's the stats. There's an inscription on it. Which armament type do you want to be for? Do you want to be for circle? Do you want to be for delta? Right? Because or else if you have like 10 plus armament types, and then all of them you almost have to specialize in that for say this Shahar, Eldor, or whatever. Like the amount of investment you have to go in to specialize to miss out on other stuff. And right, like if you go into echelon, it's not going to be usable for anything else. It makes no sense to actually go that deep into it right now. So I feel like as they're releasing more and more formations, they have to change it in a way where if you invest in wedge, right, you're still working towards a special in the other formations. So it'll tie in the formations together a lot better that way. I don't know when they're going to do it, but I feel like it's almost inevitable with how many new formation types are releasing. And that's actually something I speculated on, I think like in December of last year. That was my second video I ever made. So I do think they're going to go that route. I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner. I think they're kind of trying to milk it where people aren't improving too fast. But when they go there, then you can work on your echelon. But you working on your echelon right now, I feel like it's a mismanagement of resources for what you still need for wedge.
Yeah, and also for the travels, I have like, for example, I used like arch wedge, and then I took the echelon at third, just
Yeah,
for the maybe at some point get some improvement in my
yeah.
on my echelon. Or
I
do you think it's better to go for like instead of, for example, the echelon, take the delta or something like that?
if I had to take a guess, if you're very cav heavy, maybe delta for the third one. There's like some speculation there in delta. I mean, the candidates I think are delta, maybe circle, even though that's just for the Shahar Eldor or healing.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I would do one of those two. Like for me personally, I'm actually pulling B because I'm running a siege still, right? But I would probably do delta instead of echelon.
Okay.
Yeah, it could maybe be something that I don't know. There's gonna be more combo attacks out of infantry. Right? It seems like it has like a higher chance of being universally applicable. But that's really what you're looking for right now, until they change the armament system.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
I think it covers all the questions.
All right, man. Awesome. All right. I don't know when I'm gonna post this. It'll probably be sometime next week. There's a few that I'm gonna post before this one, but yeah, definitely like keep in touch. It'll be cool to kind of keep up with how your kingdom's doing and everything. A lot of people end up having like follow-up questions, so like feel free to always like reach out. Stuff
Sounds
like
good.
that. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, man. Have a good day.
You too.
All right.